What's up, everybody? This is Ryan Toby. You know me from Sister Act 2, Mr. Oh Happy Day, and the hit R&B group City High. I'm welcoming everybody to tune into the Michael Finkley Show on YouTube and also on the Greater Works Network on Roku TV. Don't forget to subscribe.
The next Michael Finkley, host of Who I Became podcast, and best-selling author Simon Osamoh is with us. Next Finkley, coming up next.
Make it, just to make it, just to make it. I've been working all my life just to make it, just to make it, just to make it.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Michael Finkley Show. Thanks for joining us today. Yo, every time we wake up, we get another chance to get it right, okay? We get a second chance. So the things that we didn't fulfill yesterday, we can do today. We have to bring a new mindset into every day that we are alive. We know that life happens, right? But at the end of the day, we're still alive to experience it. Many people that are in the grave wish they could say, I'm alive. But we that are living have to take advantage of all that life has to offer us. So live life, y'all, and live life to the fullest. Don't allow people to dictate what you do or how you do it, what you say. Okay? Do you. Do you, I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna love on you. Hope you love on me. And we're going to go through this thing we call life together. So every chance that you get, every morning you wake up, don't take it for granted. Take it and run with it. Take it and run with it. And this is what our guests are doing today. They're making a major difference in life today. My good friend all the way from London, England, now by way of Minnesota, we have Simon Osamoh with us with an incredible story like no other. So join us. We'll be right back. What was it like growing up in England? Simon tells us. We'll be right back. On the next Michael Finkley, President and General Manager of XLNT Bakeries and the Hoopie Pie is Matthew Askren. Next Finkley, Friday.
Hey everybody, my name is Arthur Vernon R. Matthews Jr. I just wrote a new book called Family Ties, and I also want to say a special shout out to one of the kids that I mentored and has got his own TV show on Roku, Michael Finkley, and this is 100th episode. So if you guys want to really hear about this book and see what's going on, check out Mike Finkley on The Finkley Show.
She is flexible and she is a multitasker. She is a wife, a mom. She is city councilwoman.
When I was growing up, Mom worked outside the house, and so my dad was an entrepreneur. I saw him leaving early in the morning or late at nights to go meet with clients, and he was always one who told me, if you show up on time, you're late.
I just admire how she's able to not only juggle the demands of her jobs, but keep her family really first.
The outstanding thing about the Isaac family is their noble contributions to improving the quality of life for our Colombians and people all over this state.
I, Tamika Isaac, do solemnly swear.
Discharge the duties thereof, so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations and best wishes.
I first ran because I saw a need, I saw a void that needed to be filled, a voice that wasn't there. And over the last several years, I feel like I've been able to be that voice.
So often as women in whatever spaces that we're in, we are often discounted because we're a mom or we're a wife or we have this career, and she's an everyday woman who shows women what excellence looks like.
She has walked the walk of being a small business person, of being a parent, of sending her kids to school.
Columbia is a great place, and we have done a lot in the last few years as far as law enforcement. But law enforcement can't do everything, nor should it do everything. We have to really expand upon the tools, technology, and community policing, investing in our communities so that law enforcement is a partner with our communities. Being a Columbia native, I've seen the way this city has grown. It's grown to the point that sometimes not everybody's been a part of that growth. I want to make sure that communities, specifically communities of color, make sure that they are part of Columbia's present and its future. I want to have a climate plan for this city that not only helps us be sustainable, but also helps provide opportunities for folks in the workforce. There are so many opportunities to take advantage of technology, green energy. I want to be the advocate for growing our city and being on the forefront, not just looking at what other cities are doing and following them, but being the leader.
If you don't have the right leadership, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities.
I think having a woman as mayor of the city of Columbia is long overdue.
I'm Tamika Isaac Devine, and I'm running for mayor of the city of Columbia.
Hi, I'm Thomas Anthony Jones. You might know me from Good Trouble or This Is Us. I encourage you to watch the Michael Finkley Show on Roku TV and on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. Y'all, I have to introduce this awesome man that I met just a few weeks ago, actually. And I tell you, we have been connecting like no other. He is a podcast host. He's an author. He's a husband. He's a loving father. It's Simon Osamoh. Simon, thank you for being with us.
Well, Michael, an honor and a privilege to be spending time with you today. I'm really excited for this conversation. I've watched so many of your shows, so it's exciting for me to be a guest.
You're very welcome. Thank you for saying yes. And y'all, the first thing that when he opened his mouth and we started speaking with one another, y'all, his accent, it is awesome. I love it. And I'm like, please teach me. Please teach me how to talk like you, because I just love it to death. And so, Simon, you are from London, England, and so you are multiracial. So how was that growing up in England for you?
Yeah, and that's an interesting question, Michael, because England, by sort of history, has always colonized different countries. So my father is Nigerian, my mum is white English. And so the area that I grew up west of London was quite sort of a white population. But interestingly for me, Michael, I never really felt too different in ethnicity. I mean, you look at what you would say be like your high school yearbook. In my year, there was around 120, 130 kids in there. I think the only black person when I look at my picture is just me. But it's very interesting that within my school, I didn't really suffer, very minimal racism, if at all, that I can't remember. There was pockets of racism, but I always knew that I was different in color and in appearance, but sort of internally, I didn't really feel too different. My friends were just my friends, and they respected me as such. So maybe it's a slight difference in culture than what you might have here in the US.
Wow. Amazing. And so because you look different and you had those different features and things happening for you, were you treated differently by maybe teachers, classmates, that type of thing?
Yeah, well, and that's so funny you say that. And I won't mention the teacher's name because I don't believe that she's still teaching. But there is one funny story. When I was, I think, like 13, 14, you watch a lot of American shows, and I wanted to have dreadlocks, Michael. So similar to what you're getting there. And I started to grow dreadlocks. And I can remember, my mum and dad sort of separated. That's another story for another day, perhaps. But my mum, sort of went to the sort of school for parents' evening. And one of my teachers said, Simon is growing dreadlocks. And, there was a conversation surrounding my hairstyle between my mum and a teacher. And I can remember my mum came home and told me, and all that did for me, Michael, it made me more stubborn, more belligerent. I was like, okay, I'm going to grow them longer. I'm going to keep them longer and stuff, you know. So I think behind the scenes, there was definitely, and it's a challenge as to, was that racism? Was that prejudice? Was that a lack of understanding? You know, perhaps maybe more towards a lack of understanding than racism. But yeah, there were commentary and comments about sort of my appearance in some way, particularly from people within the education system.
Wow, a conversation about your hair.
Well, I know, yes, yeah, raised at a parents' evening. I mean, what would someone say now if there was, as an African American in a school, and someone said, you know, Michael's growing dreadlocks, I don't believe that's appropriate, or what's the story there? I mean, that just has lawsuit written all over it. But again, you know, I should say for your viewers, I mean, I was born in 1978, you know, so we're talking sort of most probably early 90s when this was happening. So a different place perhaps than where we are now, but it shows where we were and perhaps how far we've come in that time as well.
Wow. And then actually talking with you as well, you've had a awesome professional background as well. So tell us about the time where I think that you said that you were in law enforcement as well.
Yeah, so, and that's interesting, Michael. We can keep the sort of the theme of, you know, sort of race and ethnicity in there, because I joined law enforcement at 19, which is very different than here in the US, and sort of
very different.
Very different. Yeah, I think by 22, 23, I was a detective. You know, I'd been on a burglary team, robbery team, investigated murders, done some covert policing, done a lot of interesting things for me. I mean, it's still a huge part of me as to who I am. Very proud of the things that I accomplished there. But people often say to me, well, as a black guy in the police, sort of, you know, close to London, did you suffer racism? And here's the interesting thing, Michael, about that as well. I did, but it was mainly from black people, given the old-fashioned statement of, well, you're a coconut, you know, you're white on the inside and black on the outside. So if you ask me how many times as a police officer someone of white ethnicity might have said a racist term to me, I would say less than 5. If you said to me how often someone that was black from, you know, my own heritage, you might say, had insulted me, I couldn't tell you how many times I've lost count, you know. So it was fascinating. Maybe it was a mindset surrounding the police wasn't seen as a legitimate profession, because they've always been those that have either held, you know, the sort of black community down, or have been unfair or unjust towards them. So again, I think attitudes have most probably changed somewhat in time. But yeah, a lot of the prejudice and racism I suffered as a police officer was by black people challenging me doing that role. Whereas I've always believed, and how I've been raised, Michael, is that, you know, if you can't beat them, you got to join them. You got to change the system from the inside in. You know, and there was definitely incidences where I know that I added value and were changing people's lives by the things that I was doing in the police.
Definitely. How long were you in law enforcement?
Believe it or not, close to 14 years. Man as boy, as we said. Yeah, I sort of joined at 19, left at 33 when emigrated here to the US. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's going back, I remember you saying that persons will call you a coconut. I never heard that one before. Now, I've been called an Oreo before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the difference between America and the UK. Yeah. I mean, there was a chocolate bar we used to have called a Bounty. I don't know if you have a Bounty here in America, but it was like sort of coconut on the inside and chocolate on the outside. So that's also a very common term as well. You know, so yeah. It is what it is, Michael. We get through it.
Gotcha. And what were some of those differences with law enforcement that you saw abroad and when you came to the States? What were some of those likeness and differences that you saw?
Yeah, and I think I have to be careful what I say. I don't get myself in trouble with the police over here. But there is, I mean, I always say in England, we police by consent. You know, we don't carry guns. And a lot of people find that fascinating. There are police officers that routinely carry firearms, but the everyday cop you meet on the street doesn't. And I think it's a slightly different mentality because firearms are predominantly outlawed. There's some, you know, sort of shotguns, sort of hunting rifles. There's some minimal things that people can have. But as a whole, I think your listeners should know that firearms are pretty much outlawed. which means as a police officer, you don't expect to find many guns on the street or when you're talking to people. So yeah, so I think that changes your mindset somewhat, that even in the short term, I mean, sort of 2 and a bit years I spent in uniform, when I was stopping a car, my mentality wasn't that this person might have a firearm, so hands on the steering wheel, license and registration, and I'm apprehensive. My response was, hello, how are you doing today? You know, you're having a good morning. Do you know the reason why I've stopped you? And just holding that conversation. And it's one of the things that I teach in my consulting to organizations is about conversational interviewing. And I think when I have had interactions here with law enforcement, I should say, some good, some bad, and some indifferent. I've been given a ticket before here in the US by a female police officer who stopped me. She asked for my license. I gave my license. She went off to her car. She came back. She gave me a ticket and it says on the back how to deal with that ticket. She walked away and drove off. And I was thinking, well, where's the community spirit here? Where is the sort of the connection? Where is the communication? And so I think that's one of the big things I would say is the differences. That, you know, I've got to be a bit prejudiced because I'm English, but I think the training that the British police receive, it is about that engagement, community focus. You know, we are policing the communities that we serve, and we should be reflective of that. I think somewhere, and this is my opinion, but I think somewhere the US judicial system, and particularly around the police, I think they've lost sight of that. Scared and apprehensive and untrained, and they're losing that community engagement. What does a hello cost you? Nothing. Right. What does a good morning cost you? Nothing. You know, so when they're in that mentality, that's the biggest thing that I see is that my personal opinion is community policing doesn't exist in the US because I've been stopped numerous times, and for whatever reason, I've never seen it if it does.
Exactly. Oh my. Welcome to the US.
Well, I could say, yeah.
And so let's talk about your transition from abroad to the States. So how was that for you? What was that thinking behind of you moving to the States?
Yeah, and so I'd say that, so my wife is American, so people often ask, well, how does an Englishman end up here? And generally, if you find a man in a foreign land with an accent, there's normally a woman that's brought him here. So my wife is from Minnesota, so she had five blessed years in the UK, and then when kids arrived, she wanted to move back. So I did give up, you know, a 14-year career, highly decorated by the British police. I believed I was going to stay there. I'd become a sort of a sergeant. I enjoy the work that I do. Felt like I was making a difference. But it was a bigger calling to come here to the US to support my wife in some personal troubles that her family were going through. But I would say the transition for me is probably how I've lived my life, Michael, is that there's a bit of I think it's a US term, it's like a burn the boats mentality, is that there is no going back. I mean, I arrived in the country the 17th of October, 2011. As a former police officer, by the 3rd or 4th of December 2011, I was in charge of counterterrorism at Mall of America in Minnesota, one of the largest pieces of infrastructure for counterterrorism. And some people are, you know, amazed by that, and that is a good feat. But if you sort of burn the boat, there's no going back. If you learn to fall forward in your life, one of my good friends, James Kay, when I left, he sent me a text message. I think he gave me a note. And he said, his message was simple, Michael. He said, walk unafraid. And I think that's what you have to do, is that sometimes we don't look back enough to look forward. And what I mean by that is that I was given all the skills by 14 years in law enforcement. I had the desire to change and improve. So I didn't really look back too much. It was, I'm here. You know, I was very decorated. I started off working in a print shop, cutting paper for like $9 an hour, you know, but I was prepared to do that because I could humble myself to fall forward. There's been times when I had to transition here. Everyone in the US, you guys are obsessed with education. I'm going to say it to your audience, Michael. You're obsessed with education. You know, I joined the police at 19. I didn't have a degree. I had to go back to night school and get a degree. Did I want to do that? No, but I had to fall forward, had to learn, had to change and grow. And there were times when I was writing papers at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to improve myself, but I knew that was going to help me advance my career and advance me to become a better person. So that fall forward mentality in life and burn the boats. Yes, I miss England and I miss family and friends, but I always said, I'm here. I can't change that. So the transition for me was quite simple because I believe I had the right mindset, Michael, if that makes sense, as to where I need to go.
Right. And I tell you, I feel since you've been here, you've been making an awesome impact, not for yourself, but for others as well. So when we come back, we're going to talk about those various types of impacts and mediums that you've been doing here in the States. We'll be right back. Next, what has Simon been up to since he's been in the States? Find out here. We'll be right back.
What's up, y'all? I'm Leon Frierson, former cast member from Nickelodeon's All That and co-host of the Prime Nostalgia podcast. And I'm here to ask you to join me in watching the Michael Finkley Show weekly on YouTube. Now, I've been on the show, so I definitely know it's a platform where you'll be educated, informed, and inspired. Now, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on YouTube.
Looking for a mentoring program for your young male between the age of 6 and 18 in Columbia, South Carolina? Well, look no further. Big Homie, Little Homie Mentoring Program is the program for you. Under the leadership of Mr. Jamal Stroud, Big Homie, Little Homie is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that caters and mentors at-risk youth that come from single-parent homes. The organization caters to young males between the ages of 6 and 18 within the greater Columbia area. The organization is devoted to shaping and molding their life into great men of society. Big Homie Little Homie organizes male gatherings, discussions, and even educational assistance devoted to guiding and leading them into a positive light. Making a positive attitude will help in transforming their life regardless of what is experienced in life. For more information on Big Homie Little Homie Mentoring Program, visit our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
I'm just not college material. I am tired of school. I'm just not sure what I want to do after graduation. Sound familiar? Welcome to the Prelo Educational Institute. Our focus is to help young people prepare for life after high school. It's never too early to start planting the seed for education, career, and life overall. The Prelo Educational Institute is made up of the following 2 products. The first product is the book titled I Ain't Going to College, A Guide for Life After High School. This is the first book of a series that introduces middle and high school students to a young man struggling to find his way and make the decision about whether attending college is the right choice for him or not. The book has questions inside, and a supplemental curriculum can also be purchased. The newest product from the Prelo Educational Institute is our online course titled Preparing for Life After High School. In this course, students will learn about decision-making, self-confidence, accountability, self-awareness, and many other topics that speak to social-emotional learning. Young people will read a story about a young man who never gave up no matter what the circumstances were. The course is interactive and has questions, quizzes, and video. Do not wait until your child or student is a senior in high school to start planning. Enroll today. To enroll and learn more, please visit www.speakerauthormarlowe.com.
Calling all TRIO, Gear Up, JAG, and other college readiness organizations. Hello everybody, it's Finkley with the Finkley Experience. I am here to offer you information about our College Readiness Cohort Series. This College Readiness Series includes college applications, SAT, ACT prep, scholarships, financial aid, the mental mind state, HBCU versus PWI versus technical colleges, and so much more.
You know, this is helpful because it's actually like making me change my college plan.
Really? If interested, visit our website, thefinkleyexperience.com, or just email us at michael@thefinkleyexperience.com. We're looking forward to working with you. Welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. I'm still chatting with my awesome good friend Simon here, and I'm learning a lot more about him in this conversation. And Simon, again, you have made some awesome strides here in the U.S. as you transition into Minnesota. So please tell us about your awesome podcast, Who I Became.
Well, thank you, Mark. And I think my podcast really started because a lot of my upbringing, I was raised from a single parent family, sort of poor, humble upbringings, but always have fought for the underdog. And I think, I mentioned in the first segment about my time in the British police that's really who part I am. I do like fighting for the underdog. And I've always been fascinated with people's personal journeys. How do we become the people we are? Why do we do the things that we do, from making mistakes to successes and failures? Because there's no overnight success. And very similar to your tagline, have educate, inform, and inspire. And I wanted to sort of start a podcast to talk to people who've either overcome extreme adversity, have sort of created a positive mindset, or really found and understood what their purpose is in life, to gain insights into their lives to help others. Because most of us feel like we look at people and say, well, Simon's got it together. Simon can do these things, and really behind the scenes, no one's truly got it together. We're all trying to figure out life as we go. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. So that's how the idea came from Who I Became, is to sort of share these inspiring, impactful life lessons that people can take away, and then reflect on and say, well, what can I take away from perhaps Simon's life that I can then improve in my own life? Or if someone's struggling with a certain area, they're going to hear someone who's been in a similar place to them. Because I'm a great believer of you've got to listen to people that have what you want and have been where you are. Have what you want and have been where you are. So that's very key. Yeah, so that's really the Who I Became podcast.
I love it. And y'all, as he said, we have the same tagline, which is amazing. He told me that. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in this together, my friend. We're in this together to educate and inform and inspire as many people as possible. How do you gain your guest?
You know what a lot of it do, I've got to say, having an English accent, Michael, does help here in the US.
I knew it does.
It does, yeah. But so here's something that I would say, and I heard this recently. I spoke to a friend of mine in the UK. She's a sort of coach and author and does different things. She saw an Oprah Winfrey interview, and Oprah Winfrey said, Michael, that she's interviewed princes, she's interviewed politicians, every celebrity. She's pretty much interviewed everyone out there. And she says that at the end of that segment or the end of that show, the question that every guest asks Oprah Winfrey, do you know what it is? Did I do okay? Was that okay? Because everyone is searching for validation and everyone wants to tell their story. There's power in their story. So I've had some really big guests on my show. I'm waiting for you to come on, Michael, as well. And I've had
I'm ready.
Yeah, you're ready. And I've had some everyday people. But normally, the reason why I told the Oprah Winfrey story is that whenever I ask them, people always say yes, because why? They're interested in telling their story. Exactly. As humans, we do need that validation. So I just find interesting people that I see either on social media, LinkedIn, or wherever it is, and I just reach out to them. I'm never afraid. Again, I think this is part of my background and who I am. I'm never afraid to hear the no. If there's a no, well, there's another guest out there who wants to come on the show. But I don't get too many no's because I played, hey, I'm a Black English guy here in the US. Would you come on my podcast? It's like, use all available resources, Michael. That's what you got to do.
Exactly. And I've told this story to persons as well. As a host, my job is to also learn. Yes, I'm interviewing you, but I want to learn from you, as I'm chatting with you, as I'm listening to you. So I feel like it works both ways, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you are. I mean, I get so much from my guests. I mean, you're like a sponge, just consuming all this content. You really are. You're really a sponge. And I would say, and I know it's like you when me and you started talking, is that if you look at the people on my podcast, I would say 90% are so high. And I've actually got my phone in front of me here. You can actually look in my phone, and most of those people are going to be in there. They become for me. They become friends and collaborators and partners. So it's really inspiring for me as well. I get a lot out of it.
Definitely. Oh, but not only are you a host, but my friend is an author as well. He has already a book out. He's working on another. Please tell us about your publications.
Well, yeah, so I've got, my background from my time in, UK was law enforcement. And when I was here, I was in charge of counterterrorism at Mall of America, one of the largest pieces of infrastructure in the Midwest. So I got into, a Christian by faith. I got into helping churches and nonprofits stay safe. So I've got two books that focus around sort of nonprofit safety, securing church operations, and responding to suspicious behavior. Because in today's world, with the mass shooting violence increasing, understanding what suspicious behavior looks like is key to how we can try and mitigate and manage our risks. So I've got those there. But also, I've faced many adversities in my life. My parents separated before I was born, Michael. So on top of what we've touched on in the first segment, I've never met the man that brought me into the world. I'm a color of skin for someone I've never met. I sort of had times where I thought money was the answer in my life, and I've had money and I'm still searching for something. So I like to inspire people. So the book I'm currently working on is about sort of how you can rewrite your story and the power of your story. There was a lot of times where I used to hide in plain sight, and I wouldn't really show people the real Simon, who I was. I wouldn't tell them about adversities. I'll tell you about all the successes and all the positive things in my life. But if it gets on to where you failed, I would always hide that. And so I've learned in recent years that there's power in my story. So I'm sort of gathering all those notes and life teachings together with a goal to inspire other young men to know that there is greatness waiting for you. You've just got to sort of untap it. So that's the latest one. So
yeah, I love the way you said there's still greatness. There's still greatness. I can't wait for that book to come out. So what is next for Simon? What are you working on now?
Well, so outside of the book, and there's a lot of stuff going on, Michael, as you've already heard in my life, but I think outside of the book, what I want to do is find ways that I can help people that have been in similar circumstances to myself. Like I said, I think I'm a great believer of you've got to find someone that has what you want and has been where you are. And here in Minneapolis, sort of pre-COVID, I used to do a lot of work in the public schools, particularly around the sort of the poorer schools and sort of more ethnically a lot of African American communities and those sort of under disadvantaged youth. I'd like to try and sort of start working more with them because, Michael, believe it or not, when I used to go to a lot of these schools, they would have you in for like a sort of expert insights sort of type deal to meet people within the profession. And you'd sit around a table and ask these kids and say, what is it that you want to do? I think I said this to you offline. They might say, okay, I want to be a team lead at McDonald's. And I'm saying, okay, no, well, think higher than that. Well, I want to be an area manager. So no, just scrub McDonald's. Let's the ceiling. Go. Tell me what is the sky that you want to go to. And then by the end of it, we're like, well, yeah, maybe I want to be a doctor. I want to be a tennis. Like, yeah, you do that. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do these things. You can achieve greatness. So I think what I would like to do, and this is just like Simon's idea right now, is work out how can I use my life lessons and my grit and determination to tell these young kids that were like me, perhaps, didn't have a father figure, didn't have any money. They see people with all these things that they want, but you'll only find that in yourself. And I think I want to try and keep inspiring and find out a way to really give back to our youth, Michael. So that's the idea right now. You can help me bring that to life.
Whatever you need from me, I am there. I am there. I love the quote by Paul Brennan. He said in one of his songs, he said, "Don't you dare tell me the sky's the limit when there are footprints on the moon. I want to aim higher. When people tell me that I can't, I can, because I'm looking up. I'm not looking around. I'm not looking behind. I'm looking up."
Yes, yeah. And part of it in the coaches, you can inspire people, but people need to see it and feel it and believe it. And when we do live in a culture where we are pegged into certain areas, I think I've been very good at being a chameleon in my life. Changing to different colors around different environments I've been in. But I think I would say to your listeners, don't let society put you into a sort of a bucket, because there might be, when we're at high school, when we're at college, there might be a certain level of pecking order. but life always levels itself out for
Definitely.
sure. So there's going to be a time when these men and young women can really achieve greatness.
Definitely. I couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. How can they find you on social media?
So it's just my name, and hopefully you'll put my name within your show, because last name like Osamoh isn't easy to find, but it's at Simon Osamoh is all my handles. That's my YouTube channel where you can find the videos to my podcast. Instagram is at Simon Osamoh. I'm on Twitter as well. And I'm not a big social media guy, but I'm trying, because that's where everyone is. But you can definitely see my stuff on my YouTube channel at Simon Osamoh.
All right. All your information is in the description below. Simon, thank you so much for your words, your wisdom, and your knowledge. And you all remember, he's here to inform, educate, and inspire. He's Simon. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Mark. It's been an honor and a privilege. Take care.
Yes, sir. Back in a moment.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Trinice from American Idol, and I am encouraging you to tune into the Michael Finkley Show on Roku TV and YouTube.
Need a little motivation? Timothy Clifton is with us every week on Mondays to get your week started with a little motivation, all here on the Michael Finkley Show. On the next Michael Finkley, President and General Manager of XLNT Bakeries and the Hoopie Pie is Matthew Askren. Next Finkley, Friday. Thanks for joining us again. I hope that you learned a lot, were informed, educated, and inspired by our guest today. Simon, thank you for being with us. My new dear friend, we appreciate you. We love you. We support you. Thank you for supporting us. Man, we got your back. Whatever you need, we got you. On Fridays, Finkley, y'all, we are continuing our week with incredible stories. This is what we do here. We have Matthew Askren, and he has an incredible business with some treats to go along with it, with those awesome pies that he has, and he's selling throughout the country. Y'all, they're delicious. I was able to sample some. They are delicious. So he gets to talk about his awesome business and his awesome products as well. So no miss Fridays, Finkley. If you're not already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel on the Michael Finkley Show. Ring the bell for notification. We'll send you an email saying, hey, new content's uploaded. Please listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And up-to-date information about what we do, visit our website at michaelfinkleyshow.com. Thank you so much for watching. And guess what? We'll see you Friday. Have a good one.